still as they plied southward, past the changeless panorama of city-dotted meadowland. At last the scenery again began to alter. Clumps of tamarind appeared, the palm groves grew denser, the shoreline became more broken. A marching rampart of green fronds and trees, and behind those rose bare sandy hills. Streams poured into the sea, and along their moist banks, vegetation grew thick and of vast variety. So at last, they passed the mouth of a broad river that mingled its flow with the ocean, and saw the great black walls and towers of Khemi rise against the southern horizon. Today, on Starships and Steel, the Black Walls of Khemi. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Starships and Steel. It's been a few weeks since my last video. Been a lot going on. Been a little bit under the weather, so it's been hard to not cough after every second word these days. But I think I can get this video out for you guys. Today we're going to concentrate on building the Black Walls of Khemi. We're not going to build the entire thing. We're going to build one segment. So let's get rid of these, because you don't get to build those. Well, you can if you want, obviously, but in our craft, we're going to, that guy back up. We have one of these half built, and we'll match the second one up so that we can have some walls. We'll get to that in a little bit. What's new with me? Still drinking tea, but don't worry, I got some beer here too. What's new? Well, bought a 3D printer. Haven't set it up yet. I bought a low-end Chinese one, so it should be an interesting time getting it set up. I'm sure it's going to be a whole new hobby in and of itself. I will keep you guys appraised of it, and I will hopefully have some examples on channel about how it's going to look. Very cool. If you think that's neat, give a comment below and give me your experience with 3D printing. That would be awesome. Also, we have, in the science fiction frontier, we have a new game launching on Kickstarter by Ganesha Games, which are the same guys who do Song of Blazing Heroes. If you haven't played that, highly recommend it. Great skirmish game. It is brand new on Kickstarter. It's going to be a little bit like X-Wing miniatures. That's the closest thing I can describe it as. Only they have their own set of ships, their own background, as well as built-in ways to build your own ships. So if you want to fly X-Wings versus Star Furies, you can do that. Looks very cool. I'll put a link down below. This is what the box looks like, so give that a look. Get some cool miniatures and some cool rules, and support an awesome game company. They are super great. Really, really like those guys. What do we got today for drinking? Today, this has been in my fridge for quite a long time because I bought it for this, and then I haven't had a chance to film a video. Here we are now. Mill Street Vanilla Porter. This was being tried due to a comment left on my last video for St. Patrick's Day where I had a Guinness and commented on the smooth, creamy head. Black Magic Craft, sorry for butchering your name, has told me that these guys have a creamier head. So we will give them a shot. We'll note the can is the same size, that it is also draft. Did a little bit of looking up on this. Also has a nitrogen in it, much like Guinness. Maybe we'll open it up and take a look and see what that widget looks like in this one. Alright, here we go. Put that in there. There, as you guys can see, put it back a bit further. You can see the same kind of cascade that we saw a little bit in the Guinness. We wait for that to finish off. I'm sure you guys have noticed that I've also worked on some new edges and top pieces that kind of tell where we are in the video. If you like those, again, hit like and leave me a comment below about what you think of them, how we can improve the channel, where we can go from here. I've been giving a lot of thought onto how to make the videos better, especially the craft aspect of them, better rules or better ways to show you guys what I'm up to without having to show you the entire long, drawn out process. Because it's long sometimes. I pause for 2 seconds. You'll see the head's pretty much cascaded out now. Went and got a knife. Let's see what it looks like inside. Don't try this at home because, you know, you might cut yourself. So this is different looking. In the old days of the Guinness cans, the widget was attached to the bottom of the can. It didn't float like we saw in the last video. It was a flat piece. So this one is, I don't know where to dump it out. You guys can see in there, like a little cylinder. So it sticks up off the bottom. And that's the nitrogen widget in the Mill Street Porter. I didn't read anything of this beer for you guys. I just opened it up. It's not very nice of me. What do we got here? Mill Street Brewery, a vanilla porter. A cult favorite from our Toronto brew pub, vanilla porter is an extra smooth, nitrogen-charged, English-style dark ale. Brewed with pure vanilla extract, chocolate flavors dominate the beer with an underlying tone of dried fruit, subtle finish and a subtle finish that leaves you wanting more. All right, it's 5% alcohol, so pretty basic. When I first started looking for this, I was under the impression it was in a bottle for some reason. Don't know why. I think because all the prior Mill Street products I'd seen were in a bottle. I didn't really get that it was also a draft type beverage. But without further ado, let's give this bad boy a drink, see what we think of it. First thing I'll say is the head is pretty creamy. I don't know if it's creamier. That might be a matter of opinion. Bubbles are very small, very fine, which I like. So the head's good. You also note though that the head is bigger than it was on the Guinness. So I'm not sure what it's all about that. I don't really pour these very carefully because they're not regular beer. But first taste is pretty good. I got mostly head, so it was a vanilla tasting creamy head. So give it another shot here. Rich. Definitely taste the chocolate notes in there. Definitely takes the vanilla. It's not bad. I believe Black Magic said it was one of his favorites. I don't know if it'll be one of my favorites. It's maybe a little bit on the sweet side for the dark beers for me. I'm not sure. Sweet might not be the right word, but it's definitely drinkable. It's definitely good. But it's not up there high on my must drink again lists, which is unfortunate. I was hoping it would be awesome. Like blow my mind awesome. Still pretty good though. I'm gonna give it 3.5 beer steins out of 5. Thanks for stopping by, and without any further ado, let's get up to the craft area and build those black walls. Okay, so we're going to build another one of these essentially, and then finish this one off. We're going to use 2 of these. They're about a foot each because my table is 3 feet across. Measure that. They actually are 11 inches. So we'll measure 11 inches across a piece of styrofoam. Make sure you square it off first. If you had a square, you could use that. If you're using rulers, measure 2 points. And it's 4.5 inches tall. So again, measure 2 points on your styrofoam, 4.5 inches tall. And then just connect the dots. Just like that. Alright. So we have these extra pieces that add width and stability. So we're just going to add 1 inch tall, which is what these are, to the top of our square we just drew as the wall. And that'll give us the top part of our reinforcement. Mark 1 inch on both sides, and again, connect the dots. Let's cut that out, and cut that piece off. We'll need one more piece that runs the remainder of the height of the wall, which I think is about 3.5 inches. Maybe 3 inches actually, 4.5 minus 1. 3.5, yeah. inch wide. Just mark that on your styrofoam. Cut that out. Perfect. Just put that on your piece with your reinforcement dry fitted in, and that'll give you the height you need to cut it off as. Nice and flush. Just reinforcement on there. And mark it off. And then just cut that off. That'll give you your reinforcement. Let's do the buttress. This is 2 inches wide, 1.5 inches wide. Let's call it 1 3/4. It looks like. That's going to be completely arbitrary, whatever you want to use it. Looks like 1/2 inch at the top. Just finish your triangle, cut it out. These would be your wall pieces. About the same size, a little bit bigger, no big deal. Fits that wall pretty good. So now we're going to make our brick pattern. We're just going to trace it off the original wall so they're the same. Trace it off both sides. Then connect the dots, and then the same thing with the upright pieces, and then just take your knife and cut them nice and shallow. We'll make our little V shapes, which are 1 inch wide. Troughs are halfway between the uprights. And again, knife, shallow cut marks. Just like that. Great. Don't forget to do the top. So we'll just follow those cut marks back so that the wall has bricks that have some thickness to them. Then we'll take our pen and just trace these lines out. This will, of course, give us some more texture when we paint it. And once you've done that, you want to take your tinfoil and just rough that up. Hit it, roll it, punch it, whatever you want to do. Just make it look stone-like. There you go, just like that. It's perfect. Make our bricks the same size as the other buttress. Same way as before, shallow knife marks, and then trace them out with the pen. And then texture with the tinfoil ball. Perfect. There you go. Looking pretty good. A little bit of sandpaper here. It's a little bit rough, so we're just going to smooth that out. It's pretty rough sandpaper, like 80 grit or something like that. Doesn't really matter. Then we'll mark off the location based on the other wall. We'll just put some hot glue on there. Just like that. And glue it on. Take a toothpick and just scrape off any of the excess glue. Then we'll put the buttresses on. This is a little bit off camera. It's kind of hard to see. We're basically just going to glue the top and upright back piece, thickener, strengthener onto it. Just like that. So we're going to use this tongue depressor to measure where the holes are on the first wall and then transfer those measurements to the second wall. And then just kind of sketch them in where they go. Just like that. Perfect. Sign off the top, and then we will go in with a knife and a pen, just mark out the bricks again. And that new piece we just added on. Looks like that. It's pretty good. Take our hot knife tool. Got a round end on there, checking the heat. Right now it's a little bit cold, so we're just going to let it heat up for a second. You don't want this to be too hot, but if it's too cold, it won't work. So here we tried it once, we know it's about the right temperature. You push it in. It should melt a hole the size of the tool, not bigger. Just go in and hollow out those holes, just like that. Perfect. Looking good. Then we'll take our snake, clean those up. We made these in that last molding video. I'll maybe put a link below. Maybe a link at the end of the video for you as well. Just take your knife and clean these up. Just like that. So they're nice and good. Let's do that. Flatten them out. sand them, whatever you want to do to make them flat so they glue to the bottom of the wall, the top of the wall, the side of the wall, whatever you want to call it, nice and smoothly. You want to do that to the 2 snake heads, and you want to do that to the rings we're going to use as well. I'm going to cut most of that out so you won't see it because it's kind of boring, but you get an idea once you get this one done what the other ones are supposed to look like. And then just dry fit it on the wall again, same as before, same with the other one. Glue those on. Dry fit our rings. Pretty good. We'll just clean those up off camera. Alright, once it's clean, put some glue. Stick that down. Do the same thing on the other side. And do it for the other wall as well if you're building more pieces. Alright, so we're going to use a 2-part epoxy here. This is kind of like a green stuff, but not as good for sculpting with, but unless you're doing really big stuff. Just take 2 parts of each, or 1 part of each, 50-50. Mix them together real good. I'm making way too much because I always do. Some sculpting tools. And a little bit of petroleum jelly there. That just helps your tools to slide on the epoxy. I'll put a link to that in the description as well, so you guys know what I'm talking about. So you just smooth this out as best you can. Then I took a pin, went back in, and textured it up a little bit so it looked more like a snake. So it all kind of meshed together better when it was painted. Alright, so it looks kind of like that. Not perfect, but you get the idea of what I'm trying to do. I'm going to do the same on the other one for doing 2, which we're not, so I won't show it. Alright. Alright, get some black paint, put it in your palette, add some water. Kind of like a heavy wash. We're just trying to make sure it sinks into as many of the cracks and crevices as we can. Just paint the whole thing. Just keep going, take some time, make sure you use a pretty big brush. There you go, it's black. We're going to put another layer of paint on here because the first layer isn't very dark because it was a little bit thin. Again, big brush, thicker paint. And just figure this out again, make it nice and black. Black like soot, black like coal, black like Mr. Burns' soul. Just keep going over it till it's done. You can see the back isn't done on these ones. I do them later, just so I have something to hold on to. Now I'm going to take a small brush, and whatever black you have left, you're just going to go through and do any little touch-ups you need to do. Maybe little places you missed or the paint didn't sink in, whatever. Make them nice and black. Keep turning it, keep looking. Take that little brush, do those touch-ups. Once you're happy, move on to the next step. We're going to do a slate gray texture kind of paint over top of it first. Just going to use a sponge and do like a, I don't know, 10-20% coverage of gray. Just to make them a little bit more interesting. Alright, once you've done that, or you're happy with it, now we will paint the snakes.
nice gold color. So it might take a couple coats of the paint to get on there. This is privateer press paint, I believe. There you go. Those dry. If you want, you can go in and detail the eyes. Don't have to. However, what I do recommend is the next step, which is take some black wash. This is the Vallejo black shade. And just go over the gold again. Take it down a little bit and bring out the detail in the snake casts. Great. So this is gloss medium varnish. We're going to put this on. We're going to try and smooth it out as best we can. This stuff doesn't really level very well, which is good for some applications. Other applications not so good. But what it will do is make our walls a little bit shiny. You just put it on. Once it's on, go back over it with a brush. So it's nice and smooth, or pretty smooth anyways. I painted over the black and the snakes. There you go. They look. Not bad. Alright. So, what's next? Bases. This is graphics, medium wave chipboard. This is the stuff that Wylock recommends. I ordered it off Amazon. In Canada, you can get it as long as you're ordering $35 or more with free shipping. Otherwise, you're going to pay the 50% more for shipping, basically, which is not cool to me. So, kind of trace it out. Get your wall on there, make sure it fits, and then just paint that base black, nice black base coat. This should all be pretty much a review for most of you. But hey, maybe you never based anything before. Maybe this is your first video. I don't know. Hot glue. Glue that down. Just like that. A little bit of glue on the back. Don't do the front though. I don't want that bead there. And then just get the edges done. So they're nice and black. Some white glue. Just put that all over the base. Going back in with the brush and spread it out so it had most of the areas. I didn't do the back. These aren't like a two-sided feature. You can certainly do them that way, but I didn't. Pour some playground sand on there. And then find the places where there's holes. Put some more glue on there. Then put some more sand. Leave it on there to dry. Then take your 50-50 Elmer's glue mix. 50-50 water, 50-50 glue, and just cover the whole thing again. It'll sink in and dry. Once that's done, I took some burnt umber and just painted the whole thing again. Let that dry. And then I took a couple new colors. One's a cashmere tan, and the other one's oatmeal. I just dry brushed those on. There's the oatmeal color, much lighter. And once you do that, that's your wall pretty much. So let's see how that looks. I'm going to do a little bit more touch-ups. But that's pretty much it. So we'll see how that looks on the table, as we saw at the beginning of the video. So stay tuned.
After a week at sea, sailing from Argos to Khemi, fighting off sea monsters, we have finally weighed anchor in the ports of Khemi. Her black walls rise unmistakable. Snakes adorn them, reminding us that Set reigns supreme here. What horrors will we find behind those walls? So these turned out pretty good, and when I put them on the table, the players were suitably impressed, amazed. They're really digging this whole terrain thing. So if you like this video, please leave me a comment below. Click like. And of course, if you want to see more content, please do not forget to hit subscribe. And you can see more like the Black Walls of Khemi. Till next time, this is Starships and Steel.